The average American with a bachelor's degree will earn about $2.2 million in his lifetime, which is a lot of money. But Bezos makes that in under just 15 minutes, which is mind-blowing. He makes an estimated amount of $150,000 every minute. By the end of this video, Bezos is going to make more money than you probably would in your entire lifetime. I know that these numbers can damage your self-esteem because making that kind of number seems impossible. Forbes estimates his net worth much bigger than the entire British royal family. It's a living proof that you can get wealthier than even a royal family if you have the right mindset and the skills. So here in this video, we are going to take a look at 7 skills that if you master will give you a competitive advantage over others. They may not directly earn you more money like copywriting, coding, or marketing, but in many ways they are far more important. And I would go as far as to say, without them, you can't achieve anything. First, persuasive skills. If you take a look at any business, you will realize that all what they do is sell. Sometimes it's a service or a product, and quite often the product is not even produced by them, but they know how to sell it. If you're a good salesman, you will never be poor, because in the world of capitalism, all that we do is sell. Think for a moment. Let's say you have great selling skills. All that is left for you to do is to pick a product, and it's a matter of time before you sell enough to be drawn in a pile of cash. There is a reason why people buy from one person and ignore the other. There is a reason why people prefer to buy from one company and not from thousands of others. And if you're serious about building real wealth, you can't simply skip this skill, because without it, you can't go far. Selling doesn't necessarily mean selling a product. You might need to sell yourself or your team to get that investment. When you're in a job interview, you're trying to sell yourself to get that position. And the better persuasive skills you have, the higher the salary you will be able to negotiate. Of course, it's better to read some books or take some courses to learn the science behind it. However, without practice, this knowledge is absolutely useless. The best way to pump up your persuasive skills is to become a salesman, just to learn these skills. Every day you will be talking to dozens of people trying to sell something, and it will be a matter of time before you will feel completely comfortable selling anything to anyone. However, that's not the only way. A great way to start would be find something in your house that you do not need. We all have plenty of things in our backyard that we don't use at all. Try to sell it to a friend or to a neighbor maybe. Secondly, analytical skills. Why do you think the CEOs are paid millions of dollars even if they work fewer hours? Their job isn't to hustle day and night, although that many of them do that. CEOs on average work more than 62 hours a week, while an average American works 44 hours. However, their primary job is to analyze the market and make the right move. Where the market is going, what is the next trend, how the market would change in a few years from now. But analytical skills go much farther than that. It's the ability to take a complex subject and break it into many small parts to gain a better and clearer understanding, or solve a complicated problem. Of course, your IQ will play an important part here. So does your knowledge. That's why CEOs on average read at least 50 books a year, while average people just a few, if not none at all. The world is filled with opportunities. That's why 1,700 people are becoming millionaires every single day just in the United States. But if your analytical skills aren't good enough, these opportunities will slip right under your nose. Thirdly, emotional intelligence. The only 3 ways to build wealth is through either starting up something, investing, or building a solid career. And each of these paths require you to control your emotions. When you invest in some company, the nature of the stock market is that it constantly jumps up and down. And if you do not have the ability to control your emotions when it's down, or don't get overexcited when it's jumping over the roof, you will quickly run out of cash. And that's just part of the problem, because on your way, you're going to work with people, and people are not always nice. So learn to control your emotions when things are going wrong, when there is chaos, which is exactly what happens when you run a company. And that takes me to the next point: self-discipline. A lot of people find it difficult to discipline themselves, and it's understandable because it's difficult to live under certain strict routines or rules if you don't have a clear purpose behind it. Waking up early in the morning, working for multiple hours without any distractions doesn't seem to be easy, if not impossible for some. Discipline simply means sacrificing short-term pleasure for long-term rewards. But the truth is, it's only difficult when the goal is not clear. And the only way to achieve a big goal is to achieve a little bit of it every single day. That's why you need to master self-discipline, which means you need to learn to meditate. According to a study by Microsoft, the average human being now has an attention span of 8 seconds. Can you believe it? Just 8 seconds. But what's more shocking perhaps is the fact that research shows that human attention span decreases by a whopping 88% every year. An average person consumes more information in a single day than someone would in their entire life just a few hundred years ago. That made our attention span the most important resource in the world. And that's why these companies are pouring billions of dollars to get your attention. Just in 2018 alone, the world had spent $543 billion on advertisements. That's 10 times the net income of the largest company in the world. And this number will only grow. And why do you think is that happening? Because we're always on our smartphones, we're always distracted. Every few minutes you have to check your phone, even when there isn't any notifications, because your attention span is extremely short. How many times did you get distracted while watching this video? In fact, many of you won't even make it to the end of the video. And with this kind of attention span, you aren't going to go far. You won't be able to stay focused. You won't be able to create any meaningful value. And that's why you need to learn meditation. It will help you to stay focused for a longer period and think much clearer. Next, control your mind. How many times you have heard that it all starts with a mindset? And I couldn't agree more. But that mindset is not something complicated. Usually it means being able to always stay positive. I understand how difficult that could be, especially if you're struggling financially. You look around and there are endless number of things and people you can blame for your miserable financial situation, starting from politicians and Wall Street who are ruining the economy to the college textbooks that aren't giving you practical knowledge. But that negative state isn't going to take you far. It will keep limiting you to your comfort zone. You have to train your brain to see the light in this chaos, because creating wealth is chaos. There is no way around it. If you can't manage your thoughts and keep your mind positive, you won't make it. Wealth comes as a result of taking responsibility. Either you want to solve a problem or rise in the ranks of your company by taking more weight on your shoulders. And lastly, listening. Most people listen to respond and not to learn, which is why that's not considered listening. In your way to create wealth, you will deal with people. In fact, you need them. You need their feedback, their experience, and often you will be making mistakes. And if you're not a good listener, your mistakes will bear you down. Working alone isn't an option because you will be constrained by your own limitations. And with great listening skills, you can attract talented people to work with you. These skills are interconnected. They're not only used to create wealth, but to live a more productive and positive life. Wealth doesn't come out of nowhere. It's a result of delivering value, and the skills we have talked about are the foundation to start with. And now it's your turn. What do you think? What would you add to this list? And anyways, hit the like button if you have enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time.